But
So
there's
we'll go ahead and call this
yeah,
meeting to
overall,
order.
We're actually down, but this is the that's the after school.
Turn that.
I was gonna say,
Reason it
you
went
need to
down.
turn Glenn, excuse me, I can hear her when nobody was in here, but when everybody comes in.
So that's the after school. program.
Councilmember Fullerton, can you please speak?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
much
that's better. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Hi,
And then you have
Councilmember McClimates. Hello.
I'm sitting in the seat of power.
There you go.
That means you get to sign all the agenda bills.
Well, they-
Or Councilmember Rock, someone has to sign them.
All right, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. I don't have my full screen, so there's Councilmember Rock. Hi, Councilmember Rock.
Good evening.
Okay, so we are all here. And so the next item on our agenda is to approve our minutes. Did anybody have any changes to the minutes from our November 19th meeting? Okay, neither did I. And we don't have any department reports. So we have our discussion action items, which is AB 24-125, resolution R 24-125, authorizing award of contract with Diversified Holdings Northwest LLC for the stormwater drainage structure rehab and CCTV inspection project, and it will be Andrew Fonda, Assistant City Engineer,
Yes,
be presenting.
thank you. For Agenda Bill 24-125, authorizing award of contract with Diversified Holdings Northwest for the stormwater drainage structure rehab and inspection project.
Sorry.
I got it.
We are.
I got it. Sorry.
We have a stormwater incident.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's reportable.
Good job already.
I don't know if it's reportable, but yeah, don't worry, the staff is on top of
We
it.
had an illicit discharge, we got it cleaned up.
Oh, it's so funny you say that. Is that an illicit discharge?
Well, it didn't enter the MS4, so.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Good. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Andrew, back to you.
I apologize.
Okay, this project includes performing rehab on 100 catch basins, cleaning 400 catch basins, replacing 250 feet of concrete catch basin collars, and video inspecting 10,000 feet of stormwater pipe. All of the line items in this contract are NPS permit requirements. Authorization of American Rescue Plan Act funds was approved per Agenda Bill 23-69 on May 23rd, 2023 to complete the stormwater drainage structure rehab project. And authorization of additional ARPA funds of $51,000 was also approved per Agenda Bill 24-43 on May 28th, 2024 to video inspect the city's stormwater conveyance system. The project was advertised on October 9th, 2024, with Diversified Holdings Northwest submitting the lowest responsive bid in the amount of $94,250. Staff is also requesting approval to use the $56,750 budget balance toward additional catch basin rehab and stormwater pipe inspection. For budget, we have $151,000 in ARPA funds and a zero budget balance. If I can turn your attention to the visual aids here. I just wanted to give you a visual of what the rehab actually looks like in the field. Obviously, we have a catch basin here and a cement concrete collar that goes around. This is an asphalt roadway. Well, this collar is completely destroyed to the point where this particular catch basin, if we get to the next photo, I'll show you, but in this scenario, you actually have the subgrade of the road fresh rock, it's actually sloughing into the catch basin. So, what will happen eventually is you'll have, a void between the subgrade and the asphalt, and then it'll eventually break. So this project would snowball into a much more expensive project if, these types of scenarios don't be repaired like immediately. And then real quickly,
Well, how old is this particular catch basin? So this was in February of this year.
so this is in the GMG plat. It's
Mhm.
off of Church Lake Road and approximately West Taps
Okay,
area.
yeah,
I recall this project was 2010 timeframe, GMG,
Yeah,
something like that.
so is this work a contractor did?
This was
as part of
a
that
residential, yeah, it was a contractor
Right.
for a residential development
Right, inside of Bonney Lake,
inside city limits.
so we inspected it and everything and still do they deteriorate that fast?
This is a uncommon, situation.
Okay, that's good.
It's, there's a handful of where, these situations, but the ones that are this bad are in GMG. So, it would lead me to believe that, it was, the concrete mix design was not per requirements. If it's, you have failure after failure after failure in the same community, but I don't know that for
So
sure.
there's something where it says J6.
There could be,
You can see that cluster.
issues with the process of, compaction. It could be, concrete, it could be, not enough cement, not enough, or too much water in the
Yep.
mix.
What's the normal lifespan?
I mean, we have concrete collars in some communities that are much older than this one that are in generation. So, it's usually not the concrete that deteriorates like this. It's usually like, surface treatments of the road that you'll need to redo, or, road reconstruction projects or overlays or some type of surface treatment on the roadway, not necessarily in the gutter line of catch basins. That's kind of a uncommon problem.
When these are repaired or replaced, do you use the same metal grate and just repair the concrete around it?
If it's still in good shape, we will.
And then how far down, like in this next picture, if it's like
So
the
the next,
concrete is damaged underneath, typically how far down do you have to redo concrete base?
each catch basin is different, but I mean, in this particular case, you'll have this entire side of the neck is completely destroyed.
Mhm.
So, I think this is actually even the
But the break.
fresh rock that's stuck slump in, and all the mortar is completely gone. You'll have, so what they would do, they would have to knock off all this loose deteriorated mortar, these old bricks, and, replace them with new brick, new mortar. And any other cracks that are inside the structures are also included in the rehab.
That's all part of the bid.
It's all part of it. So it'd be very difficult to, even for us to survey every, on like a per crack basis.
Mhm.
So, we, include these items as per each in our schedule of prices. So, some are of course much worse than others, but that's part of the construction process. And then,
How many
one
of these
last,
basins were you planning on replacing? Until you got
We
the
have-
bid and realized you could actually add more?
yeah, so, usually I'll have to estimate the quantities for each of the line items based on past history, because this is an annual requirement for us to maintain our catch basin structures. So I use, prior years' unit prices and then, mark up with inflation. And we can usually hit them pretty close to what the bids actually come in at. This particular one, this is a contract that we worked with before. They've done a good job for us, but they were just very aggressive with their unit prices. And they actually came in under than what I thought they were gonna be. And so that's why there's that
Yeah, but how, I think what Councilman Fulton is asking is how many were we originally planning?
We were originally gonna do, 100 rehab and 400 clean.
And with the extra money, we'll be able to expand that to more catch basins.
Correct.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
asking. So 100 rehabs and then 400 replacements was the
400
original.
clean.
What do you mean by clean?
Well,
Like cleaning
Like
them out
the-
or?
yeah, so when a catch basin, exceeds like when it gets full and it's within 6 inches of the invert of the pipe,
Mhm.
that triggers our maintenance requirement, and we have to go suck it all out.
Okay.
And they're approximately 2 by 2 by 2.
So at the bottom of this.
There's one in my
at the bottom of
driveway
it's just
while you guys
gonna
are at it.
If
Road
it's,
grid.
if it's done.
That was a joke. That was a complete joke, okay? I was just kidding. I don't expect that. I have one of these in my driveway.
So do I.
Yeah, you have fun.
So
Yeah, I'm like,
I'm always telling my kids, I'm putting rocks in.
I know, exactly. Stop it. Don't do that. No pine cones. My grandkids. No pine cones.
So
And then this
it's my
last-
understanding that, that the bid came into 94,000 and you have 151 in the budget. So you wanted to get approval to use the full $151,000 and go ahead and just fix as many or repair or rehab as many of the catch basins as possible and just utilize all of that ARPA funds and all of that budget.
That's correct, because, with these unit prices this year, we'll get more value.
Mhm.
And we'll be able to do more for less cost because it is annual and we have to do this every year. Next year it'll be more expensive. So we try to, do them, complete them, with as much value as we can.
Okay.
And
I'm thinking
diversified
that
holdings.
this particular item should go on the consent agenda because they are under budget and they're just asking to spend the budget that they already have and repair and fix and clean as many catch basins as possible to meet their budget this year and keep the prices down. So what is everybody else thinking?
I had a comment that it'd be nice to see the math, the public math that you just did, because it wasn't obvious to me. I actually had to go through and look at it to say, oh, 94,250 plus 56,750, right? So I don't, that is not, I've reread that a couple of times, right?
So you want us to clean up that last sentence in the agenda?
Yeah, if you could do that somehow to say, so that somebody coming back, cause it took me a few minutes to kind of get that, right? Cause I'm like, I see 94, I see 56, I see 51,000, and then I have to get to 151,000. And I'm like, well, what numbers go together?
So basically, in that last sentence, basically, so the bid came in an amount of 94,250. The staff would like to also authorize expenditure of the 56,7055 for a total contract award of
Oh,
151,000.
that would be magic. And then it would match the budget amount versus current balance versus expedition. Then if that goes on a consent agenda, I would not be nervous at all if somebody goes,
We can get that.
do you understand what you approved?
Yeah, we can get that fixed.
That'd be awesome. And then I had another question is, what is an illicit discharge? And do we have, how many of those do we catch? And is that a problem that we have?
Well, I mean, illicit discharge
Other than council member rocks?
is technically it's anything that discharges to the municipal separate storm sewer system that's not rained. So, or snow melt. So, I mean, even car washing debris and soap and whatnot is considered an illicit discharge. And we don't enforce people washing their cars. That's more of a public education thing that we try to,
Right.
change behaviors that way, use car washes and, friendly, car washing practices, wash your car on the lawn, that type of thing. But oils, I mean, I would say it's, you know, it's not uncommon to see somebody out in the street or in the ditch, you know, replacing their transmission or changing their oil, or that's a common
Yep.
occurrence.
Yep. And
And have-
so is that a big problem? How do we know it's a problem, yes or no, that it's a big problem versus it's just, right, when does it get to that
We're
level?
married to big.
Well, I mean, I'd say, you know, the big issues would be, like car accidents.
Yeah,
If there's, you know, hopefully we never have one, but we don't have like a tanker rollover or something like that.
right.
But I mean, we're equipped to handle those type of situations when they occur. Operations staff, that's why they're on call pretty much 24/7. So if there was an incident, they have the vehicles and the resources to respond to those type of incidents and clean up those spills.
Mhm.
Because I mean, our staff are kind of like first responders too, when it comes to like clean up and traffic control when incidents happen. So, you know, it's hard to answer the question in terms of, you know, is it a problem? It does happen, but I would say that we're equipped to respond to it when it does.
Okay,
And we do get illicit connections. We had somebody plumb their toilet into our stormwater line. And their sewer was going into a stormwater pond. And we had to make them go dig down and repair everything.
did they do that on purpose?
I don't know if they did it on purpose or, I
They
don't think it
meant-
was on purpose, but it was definitely an illicit
I think
discharge.
when,
Yeah,
Yeah, they thought it was the sewer line.
yeah, because you know, you'll have a storm line that goes out and a sewer line that go out in similar areas, similar pipe, similar material, same material, and it just kind of got stuck.
Okay, so
Yeah.
are we good with the rewording?
Yeah.
And then we'll go ahead and put that on the consent agenda for the 10th of December. Excellent. Okay, so we will move on. Our
Oh,
next
yeah,
item, page 13 of the packet, is AB 24-126, Resolution R 24-126, authorizing award of contract with Strickland and Sons excavation for the Kelly Lake Road Sidewalk Extension Project. Andrew Fonda, Assistant City Engineer, will discuss.
Thank you. So for Agenda Bill 24-126, authorizing award of contract with Strickland and Sons Excavation for the Kelly Lake Road Sidewalk Extension Project. So these extension projects were project presented and prioritized at the October 19, 2021 CDC meeting. The Kelly Lake Road Sidewalk Project is the next priority gap on that prioritization list. And will fill the sidewalk gap along Kelly Lake Road between 210 and 212. KPG Somos completed the design effort in November of 2024. And the project was advertised on November 4th, 2024. 6 sealed bids were opened on November 20th, 2024, with Strickland and Sons Excavation submitting the lowest responsive bid in the amount of $243,005. Staff has included a 10% contingency in the amount of $24,300.50 for a total construction approval request in the amount of $267,305.50. For budget, we have a $519,163 current balance and budget balance of $251,857 in street CIP. If I could turn your attention to the visual aid here, this is the project sheet for Kelly Lake sidewalk. This is a pretty simple sidewalk extension.
yeah, that was not in the packet, but I appreciate having it here.
No,
Have you seen this, Councilman?
I've been trying.
No, Jason was holding it up for me. There we go.
no, this was,
Yeah.
We did talk about it though, so he was explaining to me.
Sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you. This was
I'm trying to help.
the CDC meeting in 2021. When
Yeah.
it was prioritized. The
Right,
location.
yeah, so Yeah, I'm wondering how that particular one has been prioritized. Are there, bus stops or something along that we're trying
There
to deal
is.
with, or?
There's a bus stop at 212 and there's one at 210.
Okay,
Where's the full list of prioritized
I
sidewalks?
have it. I don't have it with you, but I can send it to you.
It'd just be interesting to see, and
Sure.
how was that decided, the order in which that being completed?
Funny you should ask that.
Yeah, so the project, it only has two projects left on it. This one and Church Lake Road, which is happening next year. That was approved as part of the CIP. Yeah, well, yeah, that's part of the CIP. On the council's agenda tonight is discussing the matrix of how we're gonna prioritize the next set of projects that will be prioritized in 25 for work starting in 2026.
we're gonna do this work this year,
Yeah,
next, well,
well, early next year.
Our plan is to award in 24 and complete construction in 25.
and then, Church Lake,
Is award in 25 and start working hopefully in 25, early 26.
okay?
And that's the one where the curve is.
Yeah, so cause I see that one as like, as a public safety issue is way more important than this
The
one.
whole road there.
Yeah.
Different road section.
The
You know where the
issue-
guardrail is, where you have that really sharp curve?
The
That's
sharp
where-
apex on Church Lake.
Yeah.
Road
Yeah,
is that one will require just a little bit more time because there's a utility pole that needs to move.
yeah. Yeah, and all the utilities are already underground here,
Correct.
right? And that is because when we put in new sidewalk, we have to underground the utilities
Or we have to relocate them depending on how much.
or relocate them.
Well, I know at least on that side of the road, for sure, they're underground
Okay. For Kelly Lake.
for Kelly Lake. Yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah, I was just trying to wonder, cause I was like, I thought, why that piece and not the Church Lake piece? So that answers that question.
And Church Lake was put on the CIP for 2026, as a 2026 project.
Okay.
Or 2025 project that Drew would be working on.
So
news
2025,
for
does that
getting
mean it's gonna be
sidewalks.
approved in 2025 and then they'll start work in 2026? Or will they do
I
work,
think-
in 2025?
I think it's how quick Andrew and Ken get it through design and back through
Okay.
committee for the award. So it could happen in 2025 or it might push to 2026, just depending on how fast we can move.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we okay to put this on the consent agenda? They are under budget with this one as well.
Yeah.
And I will work with Drew, but we're gonna add at least this map here, Drew, for the packet. I don't think we need the design plans, but for the packet, can you add this map
Sure.
in the packet materials that go to council so other council members can see what we're doing? Just this one
Okay.
sheet.
So consent, and then we're moving on to next item.
I'm signing for you, Counselor.
I appreciate
Oh,
that.
is that
Thank
okay?
you, Councilmember McClimate.
Yeah, I'm getting all.
Okay, so we are going to page 23, which is AB 24-127, Resolution R 24-127, authorizing award of the contract with Strickland and Sons excavation for the 2024 street maintenance project. And that is also Andrew.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so for agenda bill 24-127, authorizing the award of contract with Strickland and Sons excavation for the 2024 street maintenance project. Staff was tasked with identifying street segments with very poor PCI ratings for a road reconstruction project. 4 cul-de-sacs.
Hold on, Andrew.
Yes.
For the vast viewing audience, PCI stands for Pavement Condition Index, and it's how well the surface of that road is still being maintained.
4 cul-de-sacs with very poor PCI ratings were selected. Parametrics included the design in October of 2024, and the project was advertised on October 30th, 2024. 9 seal bids were opened on November 25th, 2024. with Strickland and Sons Excavation submitting the lowest responsive bid in the amount of $435,586. Staff has included 10% contingency in the amount of $43,558.60 for a total construction approval request in the amount of $479,144.60. For budget, we have a $709,571 current balance and a budget balance of $230,426 in the street CIP. If I can turn your attention to the last couple of pages of the visual aids here, in case you're wondering what a very poor PCI rating on pavement looks like, this is a good example. So this is completely alligatored, cracked, and no amount of seal coat or crack seal or chip seal or surface treatment can extend the life of this type of roadway in this condition. So that's why, you know, we selected these type of segments and these type of cul-de-sacs because they're in the red. If I can turn your attention to the next sheet, this is our PCI map. And it kind of shows citywide how we're doing on our roads. Greens are, you know, usually in pretty good shape, but there's a few red ones out there. And so the cul-de-sacs I have it listed as, you know, Schedule A at 76th Street. If you can see, it's, I know this is a full size map reduced to a 11 by 17, but the cul-de-sac is in the red. Same thing with Schedule B, 77th Street. It's also in the red. Same for 180th Ave Court East and 191st Ave Court East. So we selected them specifically because they need to be pulverized and repaved because there's no saving the asphalt.
This always have it happen in a cul-de-sac, the way these are all cul-de-sac.
You know, no, I mean, there are a few segments out there, not very many, but there's a few of them out there that are, I wouldn't say that they're in the red, but they're candidates for, you know, overlays, or, you know, road reconstructions are, well, let me say this. Normally, we would apply a surface treatment like chip seal, fog seal, or seal coat before it gets to this condition. But because in our history, cul-de-sacs are kind of a difficult segment to apply a surface treatment to because of the radius and all the trucks that go through, the garbage trucks and the recycle trucks and all the big trucks. They basically just prematurely like wear the chip seal off. And so we don't get as much value. It doesn't last. And so Steve Willitson, the former street superintendent, now Keith Proctor, their, I guess, approach to cul-de-sacs, just let them go. Just let them go. Instead of trying to, you know, save them and get no value out of any treatment, they just let them go. They get to a poor PCI rating and then just repave them. Pulverize them and repave them.
Is that the plan continuing going forward?
I think so. Unless there's a, you know, there could be a product out there that's new, people are having success with, that prolongs the life of the cul-de-sac without the premature wear. Of course, you know, we're open to look at those, but as of right now, none of our traditional like seal coating and crack or chip sealing has any value.
Yeah, a lot of tire turning. Whereas on the straight roads, you mainly are driving parallel and you're not getting that same turning, but we've got in cul-de-sacs, you've got a lot of that turning movement and the tire spinning just kind of grinds off that material.
Yeah, I mean, on a straight segment, for sure, the surface treatments are great, but in a tight turning radius, we found that they just don't last.
I know that Deputy Mayor Swampman always asks about the contingency of the 10%, the 43,558 and some change. Is that's not necessarily going to be spent. It's just set aside in case of surprises.
Correct. Yeah, right now, our intention is to, follow the contract price and, hold the contractor to the unit prices that we bid. But, like any project, there's only so much you can determine from the surface. Once they start digging into things, we can uncover some things that we're gonna wanna have the contractor like remove for us that aren't in the scheduled prices. There could be, I know that we have one street segment that has like root intrusion, but that's in that particular, scheduled prices for that schedule. But, there could be other issues that we're not aware of that, if the contractor's out there, we can have fixed. But, that is common, but we just don't know. It's kind of an unknown
Every project has a draft,
Yeah.
typically.
like without fail.
Yeah, typically.
Exactly. All right, so, are we okay to put this on the consent agenda? It is under budget. All of these projects seem to be quite necessary and have already been scheduled, via council to, kind of happen and take place within a certain time frame. So,
I'm good with consent.
I'm okay.
okay. All right, so we will
So I did
move
have a
on.
question.
Yeah.
Based on,
I think.
hold on a second,
Councilmember
I had a question about, so the unit, each of these is individually bid. It's not like the unit price for the stormwater, right? Because I see some other smaller red dots on here and I'm like, why aren't we using the rest of the budget to fix a couple of the other red dots?
Well, I know that to answer the one part of your question, each schedule has its own separate schedule of prices.
Mhm.
So, like Schedule A, there could be a certain unit price for, crushed rock or paving that's different than what was bid on for Schedule B.
Okay.
So we just have to keep track of it and make sure that we pay accordingly.
this map in the packet as well, for this item.
Are we good?
We're good.
Yeah,
Did that answer your question, Councilmember McClimats? Okay,
It-
so
it
we're going
does.
to, okay, perfect, thank you. We're going to move on to page 29. We are at AB 24-128 and resolution R 24-128, resolution of the city council. Oh, let me go back to the main
Oh, wait,
page here.
I had one more question. I'm sorry, I missed it.
That's okay.
I didn't see a contract attached to the last agenda bill. And usually we have our contracts in these agenda bills and show it. Was there a reason why it was omitted in the from the packet? Did I miss that? It had the bidding instructions, but not the contract.
Oh, I think,
Isn't this to sign the contract?
we on page
the award
25.
of contract.
Is it on 25?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
To-
did you guys not use it?
Well,
Oh,
25 is the actual, well, that's not our city of Bonney Lake contract. That's not our contract template. There's no,
yeah,
there-
these.
there's
did you not use
no- yeah, there's no severability clauses.
The
There's no-
the PSA. Our standard contract.
Sorry, Councilmember Fullerton.
That's okay.
Right, that's what I thought. That's resolution, it's not the contract.
Where did these contracts come from?
As far as I know that, you know, Jennifer had done a review of all of our contract documents recently, Jennifer, our city attorney. And, my understanding was that, you know, the latest and greatest contract, you know, Dion puts in the packets.
So, yeah, so we put this on a consent agenda if we
Well-
get the contract in there.
We'll verify that these are the right contracts with the legal.
Great, right.
For all three, we just need to
Okay,
get
we'll
with
verify.
Jennifer and Dion tomorrow, make sure.
Yeah,
Most of the contracts, the bigger, longer ones are professional service contracts. And these are construction contracts, so they might have been different, but we'll verify with Jennifer tomorrow.
Okay. I just saw I thought, oh, we put the bid in there, but not the contract.
We will verify with legal. But these could be the new construction ones, and those other bigger ones are the professional service contracts that we use with the consultant services, but we'll verify.
Okay, we ready? Page 29 in the packet is AB 24-128, Resolution R 24-128, procurement and installation of bubbler replacement system for lift station 17. Lance Johnson, Assistant Superintendent, Parks, Sewer Facilities, and Jason Sullivan, Interim Public Service Director. And is that still supposed to say interim?
okay.
I was gonna say. it should be interim and-
Hey, the council.
Yeah, we haven't approved.
It's gotta be blessed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is for R 24 128. So there's a lot going on with this station. It takes 90% of our sewer, million gallons a day. The bubbler system that is existing, we've done certain projects over the years. We did get rid of it at one time and put floats in there, but the flow is so violent that it was just destroying the float. So we put it back on the bubbler system. The bubbler system was installed 1985. Part of the problem is they use mercury switches back then, which you can no longer use. You cannot cross state lines. That's when I called to find parts, but we did find some parts that we could use that were electrical. So it's 40 years old. It was 20 years out of date by then when it was installed. It was kind of at the end of its cycle. They got new technology since then. And right now we use transducers as our main level sensors. And then we use the bubbler as a backup. So if our transducers fail, then the bubbler system will take over. Right now, one side, there's in lift station 17, there's two wet wells. And so it will overflow and the other side will take over. So we're still okay, but we do need to replace those and get everything updated, which the technology now, you know, we can do that. We were budgeted for $100,000. And for this year, the problem was QCC was trying to use a vendor to come and help with the electrical work and putting some new piping in. It took them a while to find somebody to subcontractor. And so we're kind of late in the year to do that, but the bid came back at 17,000 more than we had budgeted. So that's what we're asking.
And we're proposing to use funds that were for the lift station 17 replacement project to do the lift station 17 bubbler. And this is really, as Lance was pointing, this is how we make sure that the pumps are turning on. It's our backup to make sure that the pumps are turning on and off at the right time.
So I had a question at, why did we put outdated equipment in? And I think you answered it.
1985.
We tried to switch to a different system, found out it was not effective, and then we went back and reinstalled.
So it was a new system in 1985, but an electrician had told me that in 1985, this is older technology, it was a brand new system. And so we're kind of behind the 8 ball then. So trying to get parts over the years is getting tough.
They
Okay.
had new models and used an old model.
Yes,
essentially.
cheaper.
And to answer your question, just to get back to the contract, I did think we grabbed the wrong contract, because when I look at Lance's, it looks more like our standard contract.
Right.
So we need to get those fixed tomorrow.
So what if we don't approve this?
We can really typically be in trouble. If our system fails, it'll end up at Fennel Creek, our sewer. If something happens and we overflow, we can't get the, sewer down to Sumner. Then we run into EPA problems. And if it gets into that creek, we're really in trouble. So we try to get as many backup systems there as we can, since this takes 90% of our sewer.
And we're not 24-hour staff. We rely a lot on technology to monitor it automatically. So there's not someone sitting there monitoring sewer lift stations at midnight. We're relying on the primary transducer system and also the backup bubbler system to make sure that those that equipment is operating the way it's designed it to within the design parameters overnight when it's not being actively maintained or watched.
And when that back system is activated, it sends out a call and calls us. So we know to get there to find out, hey, what if there's a problem there? And so we can get off that backup system. It's just a fail safe type of thing.
Thanks.
I was thinking because this is over budget, we could take it to full council on the 10th. Possibly what I was thinking also is maybe bringing this particular item up tonight for council discussion, so that they could maybe explain ahead of time, and then we could take a thumbs up or thumbs down if we want to go ahead and put it on the consent agenda, or if we just want to go ahead and put it on full council. Because to me, this one seems like it's kind of urgent.
The budget, but I also recommend that we fix it, because if we don't fix it this year, we're gonna have to fix it next year, the year after, and possibly after a major catastrophe.
Yeah, and it's
That'd be
gonna
good.
get more and more expensive, so I don't know if it needs to go on full council or if we can just put it on the consent agenda, but I was thinking maybe if we just brought it up tonight at council discussion and then let council, so then they can ask questions. Jason, are you gonna be there tonight?
Can see.
Yeah, I mean, we could also just do it as a full council item on the 10th.
Okay,
That way
what
they have
does
the whole
everybody
packet
think?
material.
Full council or consent?
Yeah.
Sure.
Full
Before
council?
the budget.
Is that what we're saying is full council on December 10th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Sounds great. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our next item. We're getting kind of short on time, so. But I
20
think
minutes
we've only got a
before
couple
items.
more to go. Huh?
I can do it.
Let me find my sheet again. All right.
47.
We are moving
Yep.
on, yes. Page 47 in the packet is AB 24-129. Motion M 24-129, authorizing piggybacking on cooperative contracts with the State of Arizona Procurement Office. And this will be Jason Sullivan, Interim Public Service Director, presenting.
So currently we purchase all of our vehicle equipment through Washington State Department of Enterprise. However, sometimes we have challenges with the lead times on items and things not being available. So we're able to piggyback on their contract with the state of Arizona to be able to purchase items off the Arizona's basically similar system. And that's where we've been able to find a lot more of our police vehicles and a lot faster. And so we still get the same competitive pricing that we use when we use DES, but this just allows us one more resource to purchase them through the state of Arizona's contract with the suppliers to get those vehicles in a more timely fashion. They don't get shipped to Arizona, they still get shipped directly to us. So there's not an added cost that we're using Arizona, but it gives us the ability to have one more resource to procure vehicles when we're short on timing, and we've been able to be a lot better, more successful finding vehicles for the police department through Arizona than we have through DE.
Not like a standard thing states do, it's just kind of.
The reason Arizona is because that's who the state of Washington has a contract with when they need to go to, and so we're piggybacking, I guess, on that contract with Arizona.
What, so I don't recognize piggybacking as a legal term. What's that?
Means there's already a contract in place, and we're just basically jumping on their contract as well.
Maybe
Okay.
umbrella's better than piggybacking.
Right.
Procurement.
It's a procurement term.
Yes.
Yeah, basically means their contract is the person, and we're like the kid getting the piggyback ride on their contract. Right. It's the only time I get to use piggybacking in a professional setting, so there's no cost at this time for this contract, to enter into the contract. It's just, that's who we would be able to purchase vehicles through when the council authorizes us through the budget to purchase vehicles.
Easy, yes, for me.
Consent or full council?
I say consent. Okay, so we're gonna put that on the consent. Great, moving on. We're going to page 55 in the packet, and this is AB 24-114, Resolution R 24-114, and this is Senate Bill SB 5290, implementation, permit fee refund project protections, and this will be Jason Sullivan, interim public service director, presenting.
So as we know, last year the state passed Senate Bill 5290, which amended the Local Project Review Act, which is codified in 3670B RCW. One of the provisions that they added in there is if cities did not meet certain permit deadline timings, which are provided in the memo, the different breakdowns, that you would have to refund up to 20% of the permit fee that we collected from the applicant. The city isn't in a full cost recovery motion, so we're not recovering 100% cost of processing permits anyway. However, the state, in that, to encourage cities to adopt certain items, said if you do certain things, then you can be exempt from that requirement. We're already doing 4 of about the 8 or 9 things that they say you can do to be exempt from the requirement to return the permit fee refunds. And so this is just a resolution of the council documenting those things that we're already doing that would exempt us from that requirement to have to refund permit fee revenue if we don't meet those certain deadlines. And it's things like imposing reasonable fees, maintaining and budgeting for on-call permitting support, which we do, adopting development regulations, which only require public hearings for permit applications for which a public hearing is required by state law, and then making pre-applications optional. Pre-application meaning optional versus mandatory. So what this basically does is just a statement of policy saying that we are doing these things and will continue to do those things so that we're exempt from the requirement to have to refund permit fee revenue.
Any questions?
Oh, lots. I'm looking at the clock though. So it's kind of my understanding, a lot of builders think that our permit process is like burdensome and they don't like it. And how often would this be triggered if we didn't do this? I mean, if we weren't already doing these things, I mean, how is your perception versus theirs is my question.
I think that there is some legitimate argument. There are things that we could be doing better. I think that the biggest challenge we have is in our civil permitting side, because those permits are a lot more in depth. And under the new state statute, we have 65 days to issue those civil permits. In order to meet that deadline, we would actually need to hire more engineering staff to be able to do those reviews that quick. We're doing them as fast as we can, but it becomes hitting that artificial deadline of 65 days. That is my biggest concern, really. I think some of the other permits, burdensome and getting them through in a timeline, I think are two different analysis. Of course, we want to get permits out the door as fast as we can, but we're also not in a full cost recovery position. So you're already taking a lower, so it costs X to process this permit, we're only charging Y. So you're already giving, there is a reduction already. This would be another reduction on top of that, that's used to basically support the permitting staff that is doing the work. I think the concern is on the 65-day clock. There's some times that we will miss that clock. That's not our goal, but I just think that we will. And since the state's providing a way to insulate us and protect us from that refund provision, my recommendation is we take it, because I don't think we have the staffing levels to hit 65 days as a consistent measure. We only have one development review engineer that has to process every single permit that comes through the city. We have 3 engineers on staff, Ken, the city engineer, Drew, who do a lot of the work with the utilities. We just hired an engineering specialist to help with that, but we only have one full-time development review engineer that has to review all of the engineering plans, and are a lot more depth and complex than some of the standard like land use planning stuff. So that would be my concern on that, is I just agree. I think there are some things that we can improve from a complexity standpoint, and I've tasked Lauren with doing that, and she's working with the permit staff to improve clarity, improve efficiencies. I think there are some developers that are happy with us, and there's some that are not. I guess that if you were to call Barkhausen Engineering, they're going to probably say, I know they've told Ken this, that they've said we're probably one of the best organizations to work with, but I know that if you call other engineering firms, they're going to say we're one of the worst to work with. So I think it depends on your project, and then there's projects that go off the rail and they are hard to get back on the rail. So I'm not going to say that we're the best permitting center in the world. We do have areas to improve, and we're taking strides to work those. The mayor's tasked me with making those improvements, and we're starting to do that. Lauren's got a working group to try to figure out how to make those improvements. But I think passing on a way to protect yourself from not returning permit revenue would just further expedite those problems, because you would start to then have less revenue that's supporting those functions. I would love to say I could guarantee 65 days.
Won't the new software actually help with some of this permit process, speeding up?
Yep, it will help with it'll improve some efficiencies on the intake process. It'll help with some of the clarity issues, and it'll help with some of the tracking issues, which will improve our efficiency. So definitely making progress, but not 100% there yet. Which is why we're proposing that we take advantage of these protections that are afforded to us in state law.
Okay, so these are documents, basically just signing onto this policy, which pretty much we've historically already done.
Correct.
Okay, are we okay putting this on the consent agenda?
For time, I'll get with you after the signatures.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we'll go ahead and put this on the consent agenda. And then we're gonna try to move through. We've got a couple more here.
We have 7 minutes till council.
Yes.
We'll rock
So we
with it.
got to make this fast. Page 73, AB 24-119, Resolution R 24-119, Hearing Examiner Contract. Jason, that's you.
So we've had a hearing examiner for years. We did have to let our previous hearing examiner go because he wasn't fulfilling his contract. So we did a request for proposals. We had 4 or 5 law firms respond to that request for proposal. That request was reviewed by staff, also the city attorney, because there's a legal component. And then Witherspoon, I cannot say the middle name, McPhee, was the winning law firm, with Brian McTeague would be their hearing examiner. It's a 1-year contract. There's no cost signing the contract because they don't charge us a monthly fee like the previous contract. Yeah, he doesn't charge us a monthly fee, only as we have things that go to the hearing examiner. One thing that I've talked with some of the city council members was we were used to have a flat rate structure, and we were finding that we were actually spending more than if we were on an hourly contract. So this is just an hourly rate contract of $250 an hour when the hearing examiner has to hold a hearing.
Now, would the Catherine Ford appeals go through this hearing?
Yes,
examiner?
this is who would hear.
So this is regarding that, right? So we have a citizen who's concerned about somebody cutting down all the trees in Bonney Lake, right? Which I kind of share that concern, right? I mean, I moved here for the trees. So I kind of get it, but on the other hand, property rights gets a vote too, right? And I think you guys know where I stand with property rights.
Right.
So
Tricky issue.
it's a tricky issue. It really is. So this is where we want a hearing, we want to, this is where I'm concerned that we don't have elected officials in the loop listening to the citizen and then making some sort of judgment. We're abdicating this problem to an examiner, right? And I hate that, to be frank. I mean, I really
Well,
hate that
if
because
we get
I'm
involved in
supposed
the
to make hard
judicial, then
decisions.
But if you,
Right.
but if this was to go to the council,
Mhm.
the minute she filed the appeal, you would, and she called you, you would have to hang up the phone and say, I
Sure.
can't talk to you.
Absolutely.
Which is why most citizens, which is why we use the hearing examiner process. Because it's a third party, third independent party. So people can still reach out to their council members. Council members can be involved in the hearing if they would like. They can direct talk with the mayor's office, and we can be directed in certain ways, the ways we respond to the hearing examiner. So I don't think it's necessarily that the council is out of the loop. It's just the council's not sitting in that judiciary body in a council meeting, making a decision. And anytime these types of decisions come up, they couldn't act as a legislative person. So if there's a controversial decision coming before the city, community members couldn't reach out to their council members to have that conversation, because you would be acting as the judge and you can't have those conversations off the record. So
Well, I was just gonna say, in voting no on this contract doesn't change the fact that you've already abdicated the authority to a hearing examiner. This doesn't change.
I know that, but I wanted to bring this discussion up for my fellow
Yeah.
council
Yeah.
members.
Mhm.
That they're clear that, this is an abdication of our ability to go through and actually say, okay, what do we think is, in the best interest of the citizens? We're abdicating that to a hearing examiner. I think it's okay that we're quasi judicial. I think that's fine. We're making law every time we vote anyway. So in my mind, there's really not a big difference, except for the fact that if there is a finding that they disagree with and all the people around Bonney Lake disagree with it, they have no recourse.
But
Right?
you as
They're
a
not
city
gonna
council-
fire the
you as a
hearing
City council can
examiner.
appeal that decision.
What?
Yeah.
You as the city council can appeal that decision.
And what does that mean?
it means we appeal it to, so there's a couple things that can concern. We can appeal the hearing examiner decision to the courts, just like any party can. Two, the challenge with having it go to the city council is the question before the hearing examiner isn't whether or not it's a good idea or a bad idea, only that it has met code. And so I've seen a lot of times where councils want to support the citizens and basically side with the citizens and vote no on something. And it just gets appealed to the courts and we end up paying fines and stuff because we didn't follow our code. So that's the challenge with this. The question before the hearing examiner isn't whether it's a good ideal or a bad ideal, or whether or not it's in the best interest of the city or not in the best interest of the city. The only question before the hearing examiner, and the question that would be before the city council, is, did it follow the municipal code? And even if it's the worst project, if all the findings says it met the municipal code, we would have to approve it. So this takes that judge type role out of the council's hands, so the council can still be the legislative policy maker. Hope I explained that a little bit better.
Okay, we got
You
2
did.
minutes.
Okay, anyway, I'm done.
Are we good to put this on consent? Okay.
No.
No? You want to put
No,
it full
I wanna-
council?
I want to talk about this at full council. This is
Okay.
a
All right,
serious
let's
thing.
put
This
this
is our
one on
role
full
as city
council.
council representing
I'll see if I can
citizens,
get it done real quick.
Okay.
right? And
Council starts on.
sorry,
Perfect. Okay, no,
The
that's
last
okay.
item, and we'll see if we can get it done in 1 minute, is our new
Yeah.
water franchise agreement.
AB
Maybe we could just put this to
24
full council.
123. Okay. Go for it, Jason.
So it's basically signing a new water franchise agreement with the Pierce County to replace the one that expired in 2020, so that we can become a utility in good standing again.
And it saves us money.
Let's do that.
Because then we don't have to pay
understanding is-
for repairs.
we have to, even though we only need water from, this is for water.
This is for us to operate our water system in unincorporated Pierce
Oh,
County.
okay, never mind.
And we're currently out of compliance,
Yes,
but everything still works.
except for when where guys have to do repairs, we have to pay the county $600 to go tear up their road and do all the work ourselves, but then still have to pay the county $600 for the right-of-way permit. It also makes it harder for the ratepayers that live in unincorporated Pierce County to get permits to do their work as well.
All right, I'm good with it.
Consent or
Okay,
full?
consent. All right. Call the meeting adjourned. I'll see everybody
I'll get
downstairs.
them after the meeting, because I don't know if I'll run down.